You guys might be wondering, Nini, where the hell have you been for the past 2 weeks? Now, for you guys that follow me on Twitter, you would have seen me release a tweet telling you that I've been suffering with a disgusting throat infection for the past 2 weeks, and when you do YouTube, that's the worst illness you want because my voice wasn't there. As you guys can probably hear, my voice still isn't perfect right now, so forgive me throughout this video today. But I gotta keep it real for a second, you guys, you know? At not one single point did anyone write a single comment saying, Nini, are you okay? Nini, are you still around? Nini, are you still alive? Like, can you imagine, like, deep that for a second. Imagine I died, yeah? You guys wouldn't have even known. But of course, you guys, I'm in God's plans, and you know, for God's plans today, he wanted me to release a news daily video for you guys, so I'm letting you guys know in today's news daily video, I'll be speaking about Berge, the Norwegian mountain from Genk, and to end things, I'm going to be talking about a Brazilian Wonderkid by the name of Reinier. So you guys, this is going to be a fun video. You know, I'm back. I'm going to say it one more time, forgive me for my voice, you know, it's still not perfect just yet, but before I get into things, don't forget to smash that like button. The least you guys can do right now is to help me get over 2,000 likes for today's video. And wasting no more time, let's get straight into things, starting with the first news story for today. Getting straight into things, we start with Berge, the young Viking himself. He plays for Genk right now, and you guys might know that our club does have a history with Genk. We've signed Courtois and De Bruyne from them, so it's not the first time that we've dealt with Genk. Now, this report has come from Nizar Kinsella himself from Goal.com, and he's telling us that there's interest from us, Napoli and Liverpool for the young player. Now, you guys might be wondering, who exactly is Berge, and with how many players we have in midfield right now, is he even needed? Well, you guys, you know, hold on a sec, I'm going to break down the story, I'm going to give you my thoughts and opinions as well, and I'm going to give you my conclusions on what I think we should do with our interest in this player. Now, let's look at the actual news report. As you guys can see, Genk's sporting director, Dimitri de Conde, had some interesting comments to make in regards to his player. He said here, Napoli are interested in Sander. There's a possibility a deal could be done. We also know that Liverpool are interested. Klopp, after the game at Anfield, complimented him on his own performance. There are clubs in Italy who are following Berge, and Napoli could be one of them, but at this stage, there are no offers on the table. From next week, things could be different. We haven't had official contact with Napoli yet. Now, the report from Goal.com was quite interesting because it does imply that Genk may possibly look to sell the player in the next window or even in the summer. You know, at Genk right now, it's not looking too good. They sacked their manager like last week, and you know, in the league right now, they're not doing too well. So this could be the perfect possibility now that Berge is getting so much international interest from clubs like Napoli, Liverpool and us to cash in and sell the player. But still, you know, you guys might be thinking, Nini, every single week we're being linked with midfield players. Are people not forgetting that we've got Kante, Ruben, Kovac, Jorginho and even Barkley? Is this guy good enough to get in the team and get game time? Now, of course, that's a very interesting question, and it depends on how you want to pose that question. Now, for me personally, when it comes to Ross Barkley, I don't see him being here next summer. I think he's a player that's most likely going to get sold. You know, I don't think Lampard's a big fan of him. He's not really using him too much. And if we did sign Berge, I think he is going to replace Ross Barkley in the team. And you think of it from that perspective, maybe it makes sense, you guys. I mean, consider the fact that he's playing in the Belgium league. He's going to need a period to adjust to the Premier League. You know, he's a young player. We keep thinking that, you know, if you've got the talent, that's all that matters. But in football, it's much more than that. You know, a young guy needs to get used to the city, his teammates. He needs to feel confident in his surroundings and his environment. There's a lot of human factors in play. And maybe potentially with Berge being, you know, the backup player in the team, that will give him the learning period to get used to the country, his teammates, the tactics, and not be in such a high pressure environment. And that would really ease that burden of the expectation that's naturally going to be placed on the player. We've seen that Lampard does like to rotate players in his team, and if you're signing Berge, it obviously means that you're planning for the future. And you know, if you're signing him and he can be mentored by guys like Kante and Jorginho, well, that's only going to make him an even better player. Immediately too, he does help address a main weakness in the team right now, and that's that lack of physicality. We're not the strongest team in the league, you guys. You know, we're quite weak. A lot of times we do get out muscled quite easily. with Sander Berge, the young Viking mountain himself at 6'5". This guy does not get dispossessed or out-muscled off the ball. But I know what you guys are thinking. You've still got Kante, Ruben, Jorginho and Cover in the team. Regardless if this guy brings that physicality in the team, can this guy ball? That's the important question, and for this segment, you guys, I'm going to tell you exactly what type of player he is, his strengths and his weaknesses, and I'll give my conclusion at the end for whether I think we should sign him or not. Now, I want to say it one more time, but his height and his physicality really are unique aspects of the player. I mean, to be 6'5", playing as a defensive midfield player who's able to carry the ball and, beat the press, that's really important. Some other benefits to the player is the fact that he suits playing a high pressing style of football, so it's no surprise why we'd be looking at him. And something got me thinking that maybe, with our interest in Milinkovic-Savic, could Sander Berge be that cheaper alternative to the player? Potentially. I mean, it's quite ironic because Milinkovic did come from Genk himself, and it's quite obvious that Genk looked to mould that certain profile of player. But regardless though, Sander Berge does use his physicality very well. He's a player that likes to get very tight to his man, very aggressive at winning the ball back. He wins his aerial duels, and that's definitely an aspect in which the team's struggling in. I mean, Lampard said it himself. Lampard said that the tactics aren't the issue here, it's that the players can't execute them, and that makes a lot of sense. We've got a lot of young players in the team right now. We've got a lot of weak players in the team as well. Anything aerial, anything physical, we are not winning that battle. Regardless though, Sander Berge is very technical. He is very composed as well. And his ability to shield the ball with his body, it does make him a very unique player to look at. But regardless, it's not all positives. He's 21 years old, and the reality is he hasn't perfected his game just yet. Maybe Sander Berge isn't perfect at defending counterattacks. At times, if there's a lot of space available, he's not going to be in the best position to close that danger down. Another way that Berge does struggle a tiny bit is that, you can get past him if you're good on the ball, and because he's big, he's slow to turn, and at times it means that he's not going to catch up with his man and close that space down. And the main thing could be the fact that his passing range isn't too ambitious. Now, this could come down to the system at Genk, and maybe that's not getting the best out of his passing range, but at times he's not as expansive, he's not as creative, and that's the realities of the player. But come on, you guys, we're guys that have played Football Manager. When you're signing a player at 21 years old, you're not signing him expecting him to be the perfected article. Of course not. When you look at his entire game, when you look at his best attributes, there's definitely potential in this player. There's the possibility to mold him, to help him improve. And all I'm going to say is, when Yaya Toure was 20 years old, he was nowhere near the same player he became once he became 26 years old. So there's a lot of development that this guy has, and for me, his potential is really good. When you consider that Napoli and Liverpool are also interested in the player, Liverpool, could he be the replacement for Henderson? Potentially, it makes you think maybe we need to act and sign him. We don't know what the revamp plans are going to be with the loan army. Who knows? What if Sander Berge goes on loan to the Bundesliga for 2 seasons? He comes back at 23 years old and there's a place in the team for him. Now, we've seen it with De Bruyne and it worked for him. At the time, he had a manager, Reinier, that didn't want to play him. And, that was the most frustrating thing. But now that Lampard's here, now that we have the environment to really cultivate and get the best out of our young talent, Sander Berge looks like a very interesting prospect. And I'm going to post this question for you guys in the comment section below. Give me your thoughts and opinions. Do you like the sound of the player? Do you think he's needed? You guys, let me know below. We're now going to talk about a younger Brazilian player. He's known to be a Wonderkid back in Brazil. His name happens to go by Reinier. He's 17 years old. He does play as a cam, but he can't play down the left-hand side or even as a false 9 as well. He does play for Flamengo, and Flamengo have been seriously producing some top quality players. Lucas Paqueta, Vinicius Jr., they've been able to get a ton of money for the players. Flamengo do have one of the best youth setups in Brazil, so it's no surprise that they have another Wonderkid on that conveyor belt. Now, reports are suggesting that we are making inquiries for the player, and the interesting thing is, you guys, 2 agents involved with the player, Bertolucci and Kiejo Bakarian. And you guys know that we have such a long season history with both agents. I mean, back in 2012, most of the Brazilian guys we signed was down to Bertolucci. So this makes things very exciting in my personal opinion, because I'm telling you guys this straight. Agents like working with clubs that have a history of signing their clients. Once you have that trust from an agent, things become very, very, very interesting. And let's say potentially we really want to sign Reinier. You know, we've got clubs like Barcelona, Real Madrid and Inter Milan strongly interested in signing him as well. That working relationship with the agents could give us that advantage over all those other clubs. So things look really good, you guys. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. I know a lot of you guys are very, very cynical. You're thinking, Reinier, is he really that good? It seems like every single year there's a new Brazilian Wonderkids coming out. Vinicius was that guy, he cost a ton of money, but what is this guy doing this season? Well, I'm going to explain to you guys who the player is and why I feel like he would be a very interesting player to look at. Now, the first thing is he does play as a cam, and I think stylistically or maybe tactically, a player that he's very similar to is Mason Mount. Now, I say similar from a tactical perspective. These guys are space manipulators. You know, these guys like to play between the lines. They find very good positions between the lines. You know, they take men out of the game. They free up space. They're constantly dynamic and moving in and out, inside, outside. Exactly what the modern day number 10s are all about. Now, I know that some of you guys might be shaking your heads because I've compared him to Mason Mount. You know, Mason Mount is a top class player. I've got to do some videos on this guy, but you know, with Reinier, of course, he has that Brazilian flair. He's got that Brazilian skill. And you look at him, he's 186 centimeters, you know, very good body, very good physique for a 17-year-old. I mean, you know, it's telling you immediately that he has the physicality to potentially play in the Premier League. Things get even more interesting because originally he did have a release clause of 62 million. But this summer, he signed a new contract extension, which brought that clause down to 39 million. So the minute that happens in modern day football with the modern day climate, the guy becomes instantly attractive. When you consider that he plays a role that Lampard would want in the team. I mean, Lampard's come out to state that he's had to use certain players out of position because he doesn't have enough cams. In such an expensive market like this, you know, can he really afford to turn your attentions away from the player? I'm not too sure. I know what some of you guys are thinking. A skillful Mason Mount, you know, Barcelona want to sign the player, a Brazilian Wonderkids with flair. You know, I get what you guys are saying, but of course, you know, there are realities. I'm not the YouTuber that's going to gas players up. I'm going to analyze the pros and the cons. And let's remember, he's only 17 years old. Currently this season, it's not as if he's starting every single week. He's 17. Let's not forget that. He has a development plan. Over the years, he's going to play more games and he's going to grow. It's not as if the guy has like 10 goals or 10 assists already. He's still 17. Maybe it would be wise for the player to resist temptation of moving abroad so quickly. You know, to play consistent first team football for your club is the most important thing right now. And if we did sign him, let's not pretend that he's going to come straight into the first team and kick how many players out. That's not going to be the case. Why isn't that going to be the case? As I'm constantly stressing, he's 17. He's coming to a new environment, a new club, a new culture, a new manager, new teammates. He needs to acclimatize. We cannot forget the human aspects in football. Too often we only look at the glitz, the glamour, the stats, all that type of stuff. We can't forget the human aspects. But is it really all doom and gloom? You've heard me talk about Berge, and I spoke about the potential of the player. I spoke about the project we could give the player as well. These are the same metrics we can apply to Jesus, and that's because he fits the team tactically. You know, playing as a number 10 in the system, Lampard wants more options. And I think the main advantage we do have is that we have the perfect environment for young players to grow. You know, I'm thinking of quotes that Zola made about Tomori and being really surprised by how he's doing this season. Well, is it really a surprise? You know, now that you're giving the player a healthy environment to play in where he's going to be fully confident knowing that the manager really believes in him, that he does have the possibility of breaking into the first team. When you give players stuff like that, that's how you help them grow. That's how you help them elevate. And hypothetically, if we do sign Reinier, I think those same principles still apply. You know, Reinier would have guys like Emerson and Jorginho, you know, people that speak his language that could really help him acclimatize to the league. And of course, he has a manager and a coaching staff that know how to get the best out of young players. If he signed for us, He might be an understudy to Mason Mount, but over the years, as he grows, as he develops, he could become a very interesting player for the team. But I know what you guys are thinking. Nini, if Lampard's going to sign, 17-year-old Wonderkids from other countries, is he not going to be a hypocrite? What about guys like Conor Gallagher that's doing really well at Charlton right now? What about guys like Tino Anjorin? What about these players, Nini? Well, you guys bear with me for a second. The reality is Lampard constantly stresses that he knows the club's high standards. That implies that if he needs to make a brave call, if a certain player becomes available in the market that is so good that you can't afford to miss out on him, Lampard may feel maybe guys like Anjorin or Gallagher might need more loans, might need more game time away before they can come back and try and get a spot in the team. As you guys have been seeing beside me this entire time, it's quite obvious that this guy has something special about him. He looks really promising, looks really good. And if it means that we need to test the market now and put our foot in the door, then maybe we have to do that, you guys. Because all of us want to see us be the best possible team we can be. And if it means that you need to sign him to beat competition from Barcelona, Real Madrid and Inter Milan, then maybe you have to do that, you guys. To end this point, all I'm going to say is, let's see how he progresses. Let's wait for him to really break into the first team and play consistent football. And let's hope he has a very good season. But you guys, on that note, I'm going to wrap things up and keep things moving. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe. I'm Reinier FC. This is Blue Lions TV. See you guys in a bit.